Welcome to the Behind the Bar podcast. Today we're joined with James Gaffney from HJUK and various of other avenues. Do you want to just introduce yourself, explain who you are,
Yes.
what you do?
Yeah, hello, my name's James Gaffney. I'm 22 years old, which is like a baby. As you said, I work for HJUK. I'm digital content manager there.
Yep.
I'm the digital content executive for the Ivy collection and the Ivy Asia and all the brands that come with that. I do some radio and TV stuff as well. I sometimes forget the amount of stuff I do. It's a bit crazy, really. But yeah, and it's really good to be here.
Amazing. And how did you get involved with HJUK and TV radio stuff? And
Yeah.
what was first? Was it TV and then HJUK just snabbed you? Or?
Yeah, that's what they like. No, it's been a bit all over the place, truthfully. I mean, like 2 years ago, probably when I was 20, I remember my first ever radio shift was on my 20th birthday, so I'll never forget that. And I kind of came out of drama school, just gone 18, but into COVID. So nightmare, as I'm sure it was for everyone. Hospitality as well, not just kind of performing arts. But I came out of drama school and I did an audition for something, and I sung a song called Museum Song from Barnum. I don't know if you know it, it's very weird. And the guy auditioning said it's the worst he'd ever heard that song. I'm like, thank you very much, that's very kind. But he said, you're not meant to be a singer, not meant to be a performer, you're meant to be a presenter because of your personality and your presence. So I went, oh, okay. So I gave that all up. I joined TikTok. I worked for them for a year during the lockdown and after.
All right.
To do kind of TikTok shop lives. You know, when you go on TikTok and you scroll on through.
You were the first person.
I was the OG TikTok presenter with a group of 6 others, and then that's kind of really how I fell in love with presenting. From that, radio and TV started to happen. But with HJUK, I was already with the Ivy, so I worked as a receptionist at my local Ivy. You can't say the local Ivy; that sounds like a local pub, doesn't it? But yeah, the local Ivy to me in Cobham. I worked there, and then there was a TikTok competition. They said whoever makes the most viral TikTok wins like a voucher or something. I was like, that sounds like a bit of me. And then they were like, do you want to come and do our digital stuff there? So I did that for the Ivy, and then HJUK nabbed me, really, which was all about networking and just people putting in good words. And then Dawn, who I believe you've had on the podcast,
Yes, we have.
founder and CEO of HJUK, she was like, yeah, you seem like a bit of fun, join the team. And within 2 years, that's kind of gone from me dreaming about working in radio and TV to actually doing it, and then all this other incredible stuff with HJUK and the Ivy. It's been mad, really.
That's a lot to happen in 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a crazy 2 years, I have to be honest.
Yeah, and I saw your TikTok of you doing the traffic announcement, and I was like, you sound so different, and I feel like I've heard you on the radio before.
It's a facade. Yeah, traffic and travel. So that's LBC Smooth mainly. I sometimes do Heart and Capital and cover there. But for me, I'd love to be a presenter on Heart on Capital. But my kind of ethos, if you like, is just to get into the building.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a travel presenter forever. Nothing wrong with it. I don't want to be a newsreader. Also, nothing wrong with that. Plenty of my colleagues there do. But for me, I was like, how can I get into Global, which is Global Studios in London? And how can I get a pass and get an email so I can harass basically producers and just send them my demos and things? So that is what I do. So I went in, did the traffic and travel there. I've forgotten how many times I've said the Bakerloo line and the Elizabeth line because it's always delayed. But so that again, that's just kind of for me being in the right place.
Yeah, you just want to be in the room. Yeah.
Exactly that. So yeah, I don't know why I put it on TikTok. It's not great content, really, is it? Just be really
I found it
travel.
interesting.
Oh, good.
I was like, that doesn't sound like you at all.
No, I think I try and go more serious because it's LBC.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you've got to be serious about the traffic.
There is a breakdown.
There is, and the car's broken. There's nothing you can do about it. I remember when I first started there, I made some joke about a road being closed in Arsenal because there was a football match. I went, that's a nightmare, and they went, no, we don't do that.
We don't do that.
I went, oh, okay. Sorry. So,
just serious.
Serious stuff on the travel. I do something very different. Yeah.
So your dream job would be presenting some radio show, would you say? Or
yeah, I've recently don't know how much I can say about this actually, but I've recently had some really cool meetings with Capital. No, I'm still a very kind of long way away, but just to be in the building and have those conversations. So yes, to present on a station like Capital or any of these big kind of national stations. I do have my own radio show at a station called Radio Jackie that's in London in the south. But yeah, for me it would be to kind of take that next step and go national, and then also TV present as well. I do a bit of producing and work on production teams. That's given me a taste. I now just want to jump in. And actually, a lot of people working TV will know this. During rehearsals of any TV show you might watch, the presenters obviously don't come in. They only work 3 hours, but they don't come in. So the team behind the camera become the presenters for rehearsals. So that just gives me a taste of, oh my God, I want to do it. You know, reading an auto cue, having talk back in your ear. So yeah, that's the dream. If we'll achieve it, I don't know.
So what I'm hearing is you only want to work for 3 hours a day.
Pretty much, yeah. But hey, if anyone knows me, that's what I do. I look really busy, but I only will work for 2 hours, really.
With HJ UK, you've taken over their social media.
Yeah.
You've done interview on the streets. How are they?
They're fun. They're very scary as well. I think the way we edit them make it look like I'm in control. I'm not in control. But for anyone who hasn't seen it, we do a thing called HJUK on the street. And I suppose it's important to say, isn't it? The reason I was brought to HJUK is I had a meeting with Dawn probably now about a year ago, and HJUK are the country's kind of leading hospitality jobs board, and they're just trying to make the application process as easy and as hassle-free for people wanting to get jobs in hospitality. Monday morning, in hospitality. So my job is to get that incredible message about what the company do online and to a younger generation, because I think you guys probably find it in the pub sector as well. You need that next generation to come through, right? And sometimes that's a difficulty. So I feel like I can say it because I am that generation, but we are super lazy. We're not going to go to careers fairs. We're not going to read a blog that someone's written about how amazing a pub is. We want it in front of us as quick as possible. So that's kind of what I do with the Ivy and with HJUK. So I was brought to make it fun, which hospitality is so fun, but to kind of translate that onto a TikTok, onto an Instagram reel, and to attract the attention. And I've only really been there 6 months. We've had about 70,000 views, which is, in theory, 70,000 more people finding out about us and this amazing industry. So that's why I was brought in. But the interview on the street thing was all Dawn's idea. I can take no credit, unfortunately. She said, "You're a bit crazy, James. Why don't you go on the street and interview people?" But the premise behind it is, I think all businesses have a plan in their head about what they want to do and how they want to run their business. But sometimes you've got to hear from the guest, from the people on the street. So that's what we've done. We've taken hospitality onto the street. I will ask questions about what's their go-to drink. Would they rather, we did one recently, I don't know if it's come out yet, about barbecue season. Why is it when it's really hot, people want to stay in and have a barbecue rather than go out? So what can we do as a sector, as pubs, as restaurants, to get people to see the hot sunny weather and think, I'm not going to have a barbecue, I'm going to go to that pub garden. So it's about getting the real answers from the people we want to know. Because I think in this industry, we all think we're doing the right thing, but success is about how many people really come in and enjoy your kind of building and restaurant and establishment. So HJUK on the street is mad. It's scary. I don't advise it to anyone to do it because I've been called quite a few things that I probably can't say on here. But it's really fun, and I think it's interesting to watch what the public think, and also hopefully it's funny as well.
It definitely is funny. I've watched them in the office a few times. Not in the office, I mean in my own spare time.
Yes, of course, yeah. Companies pay, look at that.
And how do you go about setting up HJUK on the street?
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
How do we go set out? So Tash, who works for the company, is amazing. I think she is the key to it doing well, actually. It's not me. She kind of records it. She'll come up with the questions. Sometimes we brief the public. And most TV shows do that. If you've ever seen Stephen Mulhern's In for a Penny on ITV, I've worked with Stephen on Dancing on Ice and a few other things.
It's just a casual drop in there.
Well, it really, a producer goes up, by the way, someone's going to come and speak to you. So a lot of it we do just jump on people, but some of it is we'll see someone and Tash will go, we're going to speak to you. Is that all right? Just so we know we're going to get some answers. But Tash films it. I then plug a little handheld mic in, and then the edit, we release them every Monday. But the technicalities of it is we'll film on the street for maybe 45 minutes. And really? I would say 9 out of 10 people don't want to speak to me or tell me where to go or give an answer that is just so not usable. And you only need 3 or 4 really good answers because TikTok is short form content. As you know, it's not a documentary. We probably could get enough content to make a documentary, but we need things that are 60, 90 seconds long that people can see. As I said, we're lazy. We want to see it. We want to consume it and move on when you're on social media. So it's about kind of condensing that. And then the time is all social media is in the edit. That takes a long time, and how you can edit it to make it funny, how I can cut it at the moment that I do a really quite rude look to the camera before the public catch me that I'm rolling my eyes. So there's some technicalities to it, but ultimately it's me and microphone. It's Tash, she films it, and we just go out on the street and annoy people. In fact, we had one lady the other day, because we've been doing it for quite a while now, who saw us. I thought, oh my God, I think it's those people who interview on the street, because we do it in the same kind of area.
They know you now.
I don't want to sound famous. And she literally turned around and walked into a shop. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious, can't believe she's done that. It's super fun. The edit takes a while, but the technicalities of it are really quite simple.
See, if I was to do it, I would want to like travel as far away as possible.
Yeah.
From, like,
We do it in a place called Berkhamsted in Hertfordshire, which is where HWK's office is. I live nowhere near there, which is amazing. If we were doing it on my local
safe
high
for
street,
you.
yeah, not a chance I'd be doing it where I knew people, because that's so embarrassing. Like, it is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. It's really embarrassing for me. But it's good fun, and hopefully, as we said, it's getting that message of hospitality out to the younger audience online.
And do you have any other secret plans for HWK?
HWK, what can I say? Secret plans. We're going to a university. So part of HWK, we have kind of a subsidiary brand, if you like, called Hugh, Hospitalities at Universities United. And that's about getting graduates. Because there's a ridiculous stat, and I'll have to get Dawn to correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it's 80% of students that do hospitality courses at uni don't go on to do hospitality. It's like, what have you done for 3 years, whatever it is? So we're about connecting with amazing universities around the country. We've got quite a few on board already. One of them's Missenden University. So I'm going there next Monday to speak to the students, to create some content with them. And HWK on the street will become, for a couple of episodes, HWK on the campus. So that's going to be fun. Or maybe not. Well, we haven't filmed it yet. It could be awful. So we got that in the pipeline. Just lots of really fun things about developing. It's still very new for us, but I think we're doing really, really well for something that only launched very, very recently.
Definitely.
So it's about making it fun and finding new and different ways to do that, whether that's the balance. And I always talk about balance when it comes to social media with the Ivy as well. People will say, why are you getting people to dance in a pub? How is that going to bring people to my pub? How is it going to get people to work there? Well, the truth is it's not. But if you do an interview as well, but just do interviews on their own, that's not going to work either. It's that mixture, it's that balance. So we do a real balance of interviews about why you should work here, what's the benefits of working for this company, this industry as a whole. Also some fun stuff, because the fun stuff will attract the wider audience on TikTok, bring people to the profile to then find out about what amazing things each company does. So it's all about a balance. But there's some fun things on the way. There's something happening in September that I don't think I can say.
Oh. Well, we'll just have to wait.
Yeah, and I'll come back and tell you once I can. Yeah, let's do that.
The thing is that even if you have like a viral video or a video that does well, it will stick in someone's head. But if they forget it, that's fine. But the moment that you get a second or third time on someone's feed, it will then stay in their head, and they'll think of you next time that they're looking for a job or they're going to a pub. And that's the goal, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, one viral video is great. Everyone wants it. It's a great feeling when you see, the views going up, like you can't keep up with them. But when I joined the Ivy, we didn't have any TikTok accounts. We're now the biggest hospitality online presence, which is fantastic. And I've only been there 18 months. You really just have to plug away at it and post every single day. And the videos you think, oh my God, that is amazing. That's going to do incredibly well. No one sees it. And the ones you do quickly in 5 minutes, that's the one that blows up. And it's such a weird kind of the way the algorithm works, if you like. You got to plug away at it, which is really, really important to say. But also just keep showing the fun place that you work or the fun industry that you work in, because people will relate to it.
Yeah.
Hospitality is the only industry, I think, that everyone works in. And when I say works in, I mean, you can work in the business 9 to 5, in an office job or whatever. And what you're doing at Friday, 5 o'clock, you go into a pub or you go into your local cocktail bar, you're investing in that business. Yeah. Everyone loves hospitality. It wouldn't work the other way around. Everyone in hospitality doesn't say, I really like working in finance, because no one does that. The other way around. Do you see what I mean? So hospitality has something in everyone's lives. So it's not like this really niche industry that you need to put out there. So just by being confident, I know that people come to the Ivy. I know that people go to pubs and work in this industry. So when we create the content, it's not like this is a bit alien. Everyone knows what a pub is. Everyone knows what a bar is. It's about just creating things that are relatable, really. And UGCs, user generated content. People hate fakeness. So videos will only do well. That's not true, but will most likely do well if there's real people in it. Not these big marketing companies you get in with huge cameras. That might work on websites and certain sites and Facebook and LinkedIn and whatever, but on TikTok, on Instagram, people want to see real people pull in a pint of beer and it goes terribly wrong and everyone laughs about it because that's funny. You know what I mean? So it's about being relatable, about just connecting with your audience. And
About
that's
being
something-
authentic. Yeah.
That's exactly the word, authentic, and hospitality does that to a T, really.
If you were working in a pub
Mm.
and like your boss had told you, you know what, we need to make a presence online, what would you suggest someone do
Wow, great
as
one.
as like a pub company?
Yeah. It's kind of what we've just been saying. It's about being relatable. So for me, pubs are like the hub of a community. I have 3 in the village I live in. I know everyone's name that work there, which is actually quite embarrassing, really, isn't it, when you think about it? It's about reaching out to the people that you start with locally. So in your local pub, you're going to have your regulars that come in and you're going to know their orders. So can you make a TikTok that's funny around that? How you're before they walk in, you already know what their drinks are, and then it becomes a problem for them. So it's about being relatable to your locals first. The winner of the Licensee of the Year, the Royal Dutch in Burnley, I was following them this morning, and they've got an incredible social media presence.
They do, yeah.
And tonight, at the day of recording, Burnley have their first game of the season. So they've gone massive with their social media presence and making it really funny. So if I'm in Burnley now, that's the pub I'm going to because they're fun and it looks like I'm going to have a great time there tonight. I might not. I don't know. But they're making it seem like it is.
Yeah.
So it's about creating that image that, you love what you do. I hope that everyone that works in a pub or works in this industry really enjoys their job because I think it's the most rewarding industry. I did work on it before I did my TV and radio stuff and then moved to the social media side of it. I was on the floor. I have worked in restaurants, in pubs. So I get it. It's fun. It's the people you work with. So can you create that incredible bond and put it online? So I suppose the bit of advice is just pick up a phone and do it. Everyone has a phone now. Everyone has the means to kind of create a video. You don't have to be an expert. If you don't know what you're doing with editing, I never went to university and did a social media degree or anything because I know people can do that, but I never did that. I just kind of learned on the app that it's so easy to edit on TikTok and Instagram. Pick a phone up, get your group of staff together and think about a funny thing that's happened that week or over the weekend. Oh, do you remember that time you walked with 5 pints of beer and you dropped them all over the guest? Let's recreate it and make it into a video. So my advice is just pick up a phone and do it and create real life funny things that have happened because people will relate to that. People will.
Yeah. And you don't need anything fancy for it.
No.
You have a phone in your pocket.
I have a phone. All my stuff I create is on my phone, which storage is a nightmare. It have some more storage. But it's anyone creates stuff now. It's so easy. It's actually a nightmare for the TV industry. There's a real worry at ITV where I work and other industries within TV that it's just no one's making TV anymore because anyone can pick up a phone and create a really cool, funny bit of content.
Yeah, I've just got an image in my head now. All the executives are like running around panicking.
It's not quite that bad, but no. But people panic because it's so easy to create content, and you think how quickly TikTok and Instagram have come about.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be in 10 years' time?
And it's all short form now. Like,
So
you
short
don't.
form.
Who's going to sit for an hour and watch something?
No, TikTok have made it, I think, available to make 10-minute videos.
I don't like that.
Who's got 10 minutes on their phone?
And the thing is, I'll watch it and then I'll be waiting for the point and then look down and realise there's still like...
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No, we
you
don't have
tricked
time.
me.
We do not have time for that. Short form content, that's the other bit of advice for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so if we go back to your interviews with HJUK, what is the weirdest interaction you've had with someone? I'm sure there's loads.
With HJUK, there was a guy on the street quite recently, I think we've posted it now, where I always say if Tash hasn't gone up and spoken to them, oh, excuse me, sir, excuse me, madam, can I ask you a question? And then we normally cut most of that. And he went, yeah, not a problem. Started asking this question, and he just went, no, I'm not interested. And then like shooed me. Like, I went, oh, and I just walked around. So there's not been too many weird ones with HJK. I've had some weird ones in my outside hospitality stuff. I used to do some stuff for Formula One and we did live watch-alongs quite close to where we're recording today, actually. And it was Halloween, so they made us all dress up in Halloween. I was like, yeah, cool.
What were you?
I was a clown.
Oh, well.
I don't even find clowns that scary, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah, yeah.
My mum hates them. And then they went, oh, let's just put a knife through your head, but like one of those things to stick on. Brilliant. And that's live. You're lucky that today's pre-recorded because when it's live, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And you can't really be a diva and say, I'm not doing that. So someone had written in on one of the online comments, oh, can you sing Smooth Operator and do the worm on the floor? And I did do that.
Oh.
It's online somewhere. I'll send it to you.
We'll
for a
find
clip.
it,
Yeah. And I just thought, that is so weird. So that was a weird one. And then I interviewed a guy called William Hanson, who's the etiquette
Yes.
expert. I don't know if I did that. He is. He's actually an etiquette expert. And he's been very supportive of me in my career. He's a very, very good friend now. And I was a bit like starstruck and very nervous.
Did you just like come across him, or did you set it
Well,
up?
we first kind of met at the Ivy. So he does his own etiquette videos and he was using the Ivy as one. And I kind of helped assist that shoot. And another thing I always say is if you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
And I have probably made myself quite annoying now by just asking, I want to do this, I want to do that. I just went up to William and I messaged him. I said, love what you do. I'm really trying to build my online presence. I've had meetings with agents in terms of for TV presenting, and they say you've got to build an online presence, but don't get too big online because you have a short form lived career. I'm like, what am I meant to do? So I thought, well, if I do some interviews, I can kind of keep it professional. And William was fantastic because he put it all over his socials, and you know, there's millions of views on my stuff with him now, which is incredible, and it's been a massive boost. But I was really nervous about that. And also he made, I won't say it here, but he made a really inappropriate comment, which was him being funny. He's not like that. And I kind of thought, well, I'll look down the camera to do it. Ooh, you know, ooh, how's your mother kind of look. And as I was doing, I was like, this is really weird. So a couple of weird interactions like that. But yeah, hopefully they're not too weird. I'm normally the weird part of the interview. People get creeped out by me.
They get creeped out.
Creeped out's wrong. But like, you know, you would though, wouldn't you? If you're walking down the street and some guy comes up with a mic, like, what's your favourite pint of beer? It's like, who are you? But yeah.
Okay, so what's your favourite interview that you've had?
Wow.
And not this one, because, you know.
This is right up there.
Yeah.
This is right up there. That's my joke. I always do that in interviews. Best interview. I think, yeah, the William one was really cool in terms of for a career aspirations one. And as I said, he was incredibly generous with his time. So that was good. I interviewed a social media star called Kate Elizabeth. I don't know if you've heard of her. No. But my sister was very overwhelmed that I was meeting Kate Elizabeth. And that was just super fun because to be able to interview someone who is a social media star, millions of followers, literally gets paid to create TikToks and a lot of money at that. So that was always fun. But I think the best interview I've ever had is I interviewed a guy. I do this podcast for my old college who's had lots of famous people come out of it, like Emily Blunt and Hans Zimmer and Kate Elizabeth and others. And there's this one guy called Abbas Dayek, who is a businessman in Nigeria. He's like the leading businessman over there. He owns basically what Deliveroo is in Africa. It's called Oya now. And I interviewed him, and I went into the interview not knowing a lot about him. I was very underprepared, which you should never be as an interviewer, but I left it very late to research. I was like, oh my God, this guy's the most incredible person. And it's the first interview I've ever done where I found myself, which is what you should do as an interviewer, is just listening. And because normally when you're interviewing, you've got an earpiece in, you've got people feeding you questions, you've got people trying to put you off, which producers do for fun. You've got people saying, oh, he just said that, or she just mentioned that, make sure you pick up on that if in case I've missed it. And might as well have taken my earpiece out for that thing because I just wasn't listening to anyone but him, and he was so inspirational. And he gave a quote that I now use in interviews, which I basically steal, and I think so important for all industries, hospitality as well, is he said network is net worth. You are nothing without the people around you. And hospitality is such a people-led industry. So you're creating that network. And it goes back to how I got involved with HJ UK. I never knew Dawn. I never knew the people that I've now worked with. I never knew you guys at the BII. But I went to an event. And from that, we've now connected and hopefully we'll continue to work together. Network is your net worth. I will literally never earn another penny in my life unless it's the people I've worked really hard with, to connect with. And Dawn went to a lunch once. She met up with a lady called Johanna that worked at the Ivy. Dawn said, I think we should do some social media. Johanna went, I know this guy called James. More work. So network is net worth. And I think my favourite interview was that one with Abbas because I didn't really know what I was getting myself involved. I knew he was a businessman. I knew he was exceptionally successful. But I sat there and I just listened the whole time. You can watch it back and I'm like, I don't know.
Starstruck.
And there was a lot of like, it would cut back to me when he'd finished speaking and I go, sorry, what was my next question? But he was genuinely inspirational. So I've been very lucky to interview some, quite big stars for the stuff I've done, some radio stuff and some quite big names coming up later this year. But that for me was like the best interview I've ever done because I just learned so much about how to interview, but also just an incredibly interesting man.
So, as an interviewer,
yes,
what advice would you give to interviewees?
It's a great question because I am one today and I wish I'd taken my own advice. I think it's about just being really relaxed and open. So the pressure is all on, no pressure.
Yeah, well.
But the pressure is all on the interviewer. So when you're interviewing or hosting or presenting, you have to prepare. And ultimately, if the guest is a difficult guest, you've just got to deal with it. Or if they speak 100 miles an hour, like I do, and don't come up for air, you've also just got to deal with that. So don't feel any pressure. I've interviewed people and you can just tell they're so nervous. It's like, what's going to happen? Like, most interviews aren't live anymore anyway, so you're not going to really embarrass yourself. If you say something you're not meant to, you can just say after, oh, can you not put that in the edit or whatever? That's fine. So I think it's just about being really open. You've been booked for a reason. Booked, or you've been asked to come on the show, the podcast, the radio show, whatever it is. So just be really open. You've got something to offer, that's why you're there, but just chill out. The pressure's all on the interviewer. If the conversation stops, it's the job of the interviewer to pick it up and find the next question. You're just there to answer, and a lot of the time you should be being interviewed about what you know and what you're good at and what your job is. So there really is no pressure. So just turn up, chill. Like today when I was coming up, I was just like, they're just going to ask me about what I do. So hopefully I know the answers. If I don't know the answers, no one will. So enjoy it as well. I think they're really cool interviews because it's just a chat. Yeah. If we think back to the launch of social media and it was all about online blogs, wasn't it? And Facebook was like the thing. We now want to make that cool content that people can just sit down and listen. Listening is the best skill in the world. I just talked about it, and that's what I learned as an interviewer. So they should be listening to what you're saying. So just relax. If you've got stories to tell your story.
Exactly. And if I was to put that, spin that 180 from a HJUK hospitality perspective, if you've been asked to come in for an interview for a job, now obviously the pressure is on you.
Yeah, massive.
Because you're trying to sell yourself.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a person then?
So I've got better at this over time, but my advice is own the room. And this goes for any job, like in any industry. I think hospitality as well, because it's people facing, you've got to have a personality always. But go into the room. I'm a big fan of shaking hands. I love to shake a hand. But literally walk in and just kind of stamp your authority immediately. And you've got to leave them in no doubt that you are the right person for the job. And if you don't get the job, you can at least say, and life goes on. My biggest advice is prepare. Always prepare for an interview. If you're interviewing for a company, and even if you're not 100% you want this job, know everything about them. Through my job with the Ivy, because I run the digital side of recruitment, I'm the other side of it. And I know probably within 10 seconds whether or not we're going to hire that person.
Oh, really?
And it's not about their CV. They could have the best CV in the world, but it's, do they make eye contact with me? So the first thing is make eye contact with the person, shake their hand if that's appropriate to do so, if you're in the setting to do that. I know we're in the world of first interviews. A lot of them have been online and whatever. And that's difficult. But if you are in person, just stamp your authority and be proud of who you are and what you can offer. Be confident in what you can bring to the table, what you can offer. Not maintain eye contact, that's a bit creepy, but make that eye contact. Let them know you're present in the room. Stamp your authority. And we want you to get the job. So again, it's that pressure thing. Try and reduce that pressure. Yeah. But the best way you can reduce that is just prepare. Always. If you go in and you know nothing about the company, because we always ask with the Ivy, it's like, so have you heard of the Ivy brand before? Have you ever dined with us? And when someone goes, no, that's not me going, well, they're not getting the job because they've never eaten the Ivy. But it's like, lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went 2 Wednesdays ago. It was brilliant. Just know about the brand. Yeah, you're a British dining brand. Or, if you went into a pub and you're looking to get a job in the bar and you can't pull a pint, it's probably not going to work. So just say you can and learn really, really quickly. So it's just about creating this image, isn't it? And I think reducing the pressure as much as you can. But it's a great question, because in terms of this scenario, the pressure's on the interviewer. Yeah. It's the interviewee that has all the pressure in going to get a job. But prepare. Just prepare.
That's 100%. The biggest one, preparing. Yeah. Knowing your stuff.
Knowing your stuff, 100%.
Even if it is just like you're practicing. Yeah. As long as you don't sound like a robot reading a speech, but like
don't read the blurb from their website. Yeah. In fact, we had that once that someone gave us our the Ivy values.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh god, you've probably researched maybe too much the other way that time. But I don't look at CVs if I'm ever having to kind of briefly interview someone before we pass to the proper recruitment team. I couldn't really care what is on a CV, and that's an awful thing. People work very, very hard to build careers, and for certain roles and certain industries, you do need a backup of work, but. Are you someone that if I am a guest in a pub and it's coming to serve me and wait my table, am I going to look at them and smile and think I'm having a great time? And that's the interaction. Yeah. Walk in, smile, you can teach people skills. You really can, especially in hospitality. You know, I didn't know how to. I probably didn't know how to pull a pint, to be fair, but to make a cocktail, for example, when I first worked my first bar job, but they gave me the job because they knew I could speak to the guests. We can teach you how to make a porn star martini, but it's about that interaction. So yeah.
And bringing it back to pubs.
Yeah, love a pub.
Well, I was about to ask, what is your best experience, or what makes a great experience for you in a pub?
In a pub, I am very traditionally classic British, like pint of beer, fish and chips, see you later. I'm a big fan. My best experiences have always been at a beer garden or outside, which is never great in this country because of the weather, granted.
I mean, I wish I was in a beer garden right now.
Yeah, I know, it's so hot, so hot. But I never really did the university route, and I'm now 22, so I'm coming out of that university. So all my friends that did go to uni are now returning. But every time they would come back at Christmas or in the holidays or when they had a big break, the first thing we would do was, let's go to the pub. It's just our first thought. And we'd always go and sit outside. I think it's the best environment to just relax and be open. And you can't go to a restaurant. Well, maybe you can. But you can't go to a restaurant and sit there for 4 hours and have one drink. We're not advising you only buy one drink at a pub, by the way. But, you know, time just flies when you're with your mates in the pubs. And that is my best experiences, is just being with the people and being in an establishment that allows that. I find when you go to a restaurant, you know, there's 100 questions. You get asked if you have an allergy on the door. Then again, when you sit down, and then when you open the menu, it's like, okay. And then they keep coming back and wanting to top this up. Lovely. There's a place for that, 100%. At a pub, you can go in, you can have a chat, you'll bump into people from your local community. I think it's the best part of hospitality. And in terms of my experiences, you know, any of times that me and my mates have met up and just sat in a beer garden, and I can't even tell you what we talked about, but it was just the most incredible time. And I think pubs allow for that kind of feeling and that environment. And also, Christmas Eve, I went to my local pub called the Brewery. Give them a shout. They've just had a refurb. And I wasn't planning on staying very long. I had to get in bed for Santa, obviously. I didn't want to miss that. And next thing I know, it's 2 a.m. and I'm singing Auld Lang Syne, which is the New Year's Eve one. So I don't know how we did on Christmas Eve. And the place was completely full with people. And that's
on Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, I know. Go home.
Yeah.
It was basically Christmas Day by the time we left. But I just thought it's one of my best memories of hospitality, and I've been very privileged with the companies I've worked at to have lots of experience of this industry. That is right up there, and it was so simple. It was me, friends, people I didn't know, just singing, having a great time in your local pub. I genuinely don't think there's a place like it, really, your pub, your local.
So the thing that we do on the podcast is we have the previous guest think of a question ahead for you, and you'll do the same for the next guest.
Okay.
So I don't know it.
Fine.
And you don't know it.
No idea.
So from our previous guest, the question is, if you could have dinner with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be?
That's a great question. That's great. There's just one.
Just one.
It's just a one-on-one situation.
Yeah. You can have like 4 hours in a pub.
4 hours?
Well, you just said you could spend 4 hours in a pub.
I know, but wow, that's a lot to talk about, isn't it? I've got a lot of questions.
If you want more hours or less.
No, it's fine. I'll make it work. However long the reservation is, that's fine. Des O'Connor, Michael Parkinson, purely because the way they interview people was just incredible. And I use that as, if I could ever get as half as good as them, then I know I would have made it, genuinely. The way they would present. I spent a brief time with Graham Norton as well, working on a show. Oh, wow. He's another one who's got great, incredible interviewing technique. And I think interviewing is a really tough skill because you're trying to get people to open up and tell their story. And particularly when you get to the level of those people when you're interviewing your A-listers, it turns out Hollywood A-listers don't want to be opened up. They're like a macadamia nut. Is that a nut? They don't want to be opened up. But Michael Parkinson, Des O'Connor, these people had the ability. And also just to capture people on a Saturday evening. You know, now, okay, Ant and Dec do it probably, are the only two out there that have such a pull that they still get your millions sitting and watching them daily. But now a lot of it, people want to see things on TikTok or on Netflix. So to have that ability to pull someone through a TV screen is so hard. So I'd love to just have 4 hours in a pub, maybe 2 with Des and 2 with Michael.
Are you going to be able to ask all your questions in this?
I don't think I'll have time. No. But I think what I want would be, like I said earlier with the interview with that man Abbas, is just to listen to them and take on board what they say, because you know, I'm very young. I'm still very green. I'm not that good of a presenter or interviewer. I've got a hell of a long way to go. And And to be able to speak to someone like that would be amazing. But I can't cook, so is the food being provided? I'm not.
Yeah, they'll
fine,
provide you.
Good, because I really can't cook at all. But yeah, those two, I think, just to get a bit of advice from them, that would be my one, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast and for being here today.